Yo, so you may have seen this video recently by G Miners which talks about how Focused Fury on Cataclysmic is a better role for both total damage and DPS than Bait and Switch. I've actually already made this comparison in a previous video, but in the DPS graph from that video, you can clearly see that Bait and Switch outperforms Focused Fury for DPS when using Wither Horde, and with Izanagi for the first two mags if you use that holster method that I also talked about in that video. So in this video, I'll revisit Cataclysmic so we can try to understand why some people are saying that Focused Fury is better for DPS. After watching his video, I've summarized the main points and they are as follows. Number 1, you get more total shots when using Focused Fury, which results in higher total damage than Bait and Switch. This is true because with the Focused Fury role, you can take advantage of the fact that 4 times the charm's crit counter can carry over between reloads. You can see here that I fire 2 shots, reload, and then after 2 more shots, 4th times the charm will proc, and this will let you shoot a total of 12 shots in this mag. So looking at the 3 mag total damage, with Focused Fury, you shoot the normal 10 shots for your first mag, and then with the extra 4th times procs, you shoot 12 shots each for the second and third mag. You need 3 unbuffed shots to proc the buff, and then after that you don't actually need to re-proc at every mag, you can permanently refresh this buff as long as you are landing crits. So that's 31 buffed shots and 3 unbuffed. For Bait and Switch, with the time it takes to reload and swap between your weapons, the 4th times the charm crit counter will have already reset, so you don't get the extra procs. So with Bait and Switch, it's 3 mags of 10, 1 shot in each mag is unbuffed to proc the perk, that gives us 27 buffed shots at 35% and 3 unbuffed. So even with Bait and Switch being a higher damage buff at 35% versus Focused Fury's 20%, Focused Fury does indeed deal more total damage if we're strictly counting the damage from Cataclysmic itself. Number 2, you lose DPS by having to swap between your other weapons. This is also true for obvious reasons, but if we're going to include the time that it takes to swap weapons, it's important to also include the damage that comes from these other weapons. In his video, G Miners actually excludes the damage of the other weapons that are used to proc Bait and Switch in his damage test, which brings me to point number 3. The damage dealt by your other weapons when using Bait and Switch is negligible. Here are the numbers that he showed in his video, and this is for 3 mags of Cataclysmic for each perk. What I'm gonna do is add the damage of the other weapons back in and see what happens and see if it really is negligible or not. We'll use Wither Horde as the example, and for simplicity I'm going to ignore the energy weapons damage. Using the same enemy that he used in his video to get the damage numbers, Wither Horde on direct hit deals small impact damage plus 17 ticks of damage. When using the Bait and Switch combo, the Wither Horde stuck to the boss will expire before your next Wither Horde shot, so it will deal all 17 ticks of damage. 3 mags of Bait and Switch means 3 Wither Horde shots, so multiply this by 3 and this is the damage that Wither Horde contributes to 3 mags of the combo. So if we add that back into the 2.23 million number that G Miners got, we not only get higher total damage but higher DPS numbers as well. Let's look at this visually now. If I take the damage graph from my Bait and Switch video and zero out the Wither Horde damage and the Izanagi damage, Focused Fury does indeed outperform Bait and Switch like he shows in his video. Again, if we add the other weapons back in, you can really see the difference. So there you have it, the other weapons damage does matter. But this doesn't also mean that Bait and Switch is 100% better than Focused Fury because it obviously still depends on the weapons that you are using to proc the perk. Personally, I prefer to combo with Wither Horde, and if someone else is using Wither Horde, I'll use Izanagi and use the holster method. But now I'll show you 2 other common Bait and Switch combos that I think you're better off just running Focused Fury over. Number 1, Arbalest. And number 2, Izanagi's Burden, where you're reloading Honed Edge after every Izanagi shot. Also, at this point, you're competing with other linear fusions like Reed's Regret and Taipan. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Peace.